Welcome to CJ Moneyway Media, a storytelling platform built brick by brick, where conversations become lessons and experiences become perspective. This is the mindset of a panther, moving with patience, discipline, and purpose. From podcasts to books to media storytelling, CJ Moneyway brings voices, journeys, and real conversations to the forefront. You're now listening to the CJ Moneyway Show.
Hey, what's up, my good people? Welcome to the CJ Moneyway Show with your boy CJ Moneyway, in association with Bleav Network, powered by CJ Money Entertainment, where we bring you conversations about leadership, growth, purpose, and real stories behind transformation. Today's episode dives into a fascinating topic that sits at the intersection of psychology, intuition, and personal empowerment. Our guests today, Dr. Nic and Professor Mike, founders of Divine Guidance Institute. Hey, welcome to the show today. Doing today, Dr. Nic and Professor Mike.
Hey, CJ. We are glad to be here. Doing good.
Thanks for having us. Let's get some divine guidance and make some money, all right?
Man, let's do just that. I got my Detroiters in the house today. I got my Detroiters, my people from Detroit, Dr. Nic and Professor Mike. Hey, so let me ask you guys, Dr. Nic and Professor, take us back to the beginning. How did your journey together lead to the connection of the Divine Guidance Institution?
Wow. Okay, here we go. Michael was my sociology instructor back when I was 24. And the minute he walked into class on day one, I knew he was my soulmate and there was a mission and we would be married. And I ran home and told my roommate and she thought I was nuts. Here's this 24-year-old. This is back in the 90s. It's all against the taboos. He's twice my age, me and my teacher dating, and me asking a guy out anyway. So there's three. I was up against three societal taboos, you know. I kept quiet. I saw him in the hall the next semester, and I ran up to him, Sebastian. And I said, hey, let's do lunch. We did lunch the next day, dinner the next night. We were engaged in 90 days, married in 9 months. And here we are 30 years later.
You know, when she asked me out in the hallway, I thought she wanted a letter of reference because I was teaching at the house. And it's fairly standard. So I get to lunch and I go, so how can I help you? And she said, I thought we might date. I said, excuse me, I'm dating. She said, so am I. I don't care. Let's just drop them and try dating. It was a good pitch.
And you know what, CJ? He was dating 5 other females at the same time. You talk about a player. Yes. One even younger than me.
Yeah.
Professor Mike got that swag, man. I feel it. So let me ask you this, Professor Mike, man. You know, I like your story and I love Nic's story. She approached you like that, you know, like she said, you was 2 times her age or whatever. What was the feeling like to you as being an older man, have a younger woman that's really that attracted you and really wanted to be with you like that?
It was a challenge. It caught me by surprise. And then I listened to her and she said, hey, we'll start dating, drop the other people. What do you got to lose? If it's good, we'll go forward. If not, we go our separate ways. And I thought, that girl's got guts anyway. That was a really, really good pitch. Here's the kicker. I'm teaching at that college in Texas, and it was in Austin. Anyway, I'd had a dream before Nicole walked into my class as a student. I had a dream 3 years prior. And in the dream, I was in a chemistry class with this girl. I didn't know who she was. Her name was Nicole. She had brown eyes and blonde hair, and this Nicole, but I didn't know her. She's a total stranger at the time in the dream. But it was one of those dreams that was real clear. And there was like, it was meant to be something because we were in chemistry class. And obviously we're going to have chemistry together. So luckily, I jotted the dream down in my dream journal because I keep a dream journal. Fast forward 3 years, and who walks into my class? The dream girl. Literally, I was shown the future, a snapshot of the future of what was coming. So I knew ahead of time my life was going to take a right turn and go a different direction. And it was really guidance that I was getting. And that's why we started Divine Guidance, because I started wondering, hell, if I can see the future in my dreams, why don't I start really paying attention to my dreams? And gut feelings. Gut feelings are the same way. We literally get warned ahead of time with our gut feelings that they're coming in. So that's why we started Divine Guidance Institute, to share with people who are constantly getting blindsided. Who isn't getting blindsided? Career, finance, relationship. People said, man, how can I know ahead of time so I can sidestep the adversity and not get my butt kicked every day? That's what we share with them. That's Divine Guidance.
Yeah.
I like it, man. I like the whole story, he said he had a dream, he saw it, and this was Breaking Good, not Breaking Bad. My man said he was in the chemistry room, and of course it was going to chemistry, so man, that's the way that it unfolded. And then as I'm listening to you broke it down a little bit, we're going to get into it a little bit more and think like, okay, that's where the divine guidance comes from, you know what I'm saying? Because that was the divine intervention. God had already ordained this way beforehand, gave you the dream 3 years prior, and here it is, as Dr. Nicole said, 30 years later. Look at you. So, and so let me ask you guys, you talk about people being blindsided by major life events. Why do you think so many people feel unprepared for those moments?
They're not using their internal guidance system that's operating 24/7, CJ. It's built in. It's at a civilizational level, built into our DNA and our consciousness. And we, 5,000 years ago, this is how we used to operate as a society. There were oracles and prophets and the dream readers and all kinds of things. And then we got away from all that. And now it's kind of, it's cute or it's entertainment or isn't that interesting? But truly, that's how we are wired. And when you track your data over time, collectively, then you come to full knowingness, which is what we teach, the ancient way of knowing. And then you've been shown so many times that your dream was prophetic and that your gut feeling was on point, and that when you asked for a sign from God, you were given the answer, after this data tracking process, without a doubt that this is the real deal. And you can, test it over and over and over. And it'll prove right 100% of the time. Yeah.
It's kind of like all the people we run into, all of our clients, they're being blindsided by their future. In other words, Mike, I never saw it coming. I wish I would have seen that coming so I could do something about it, sidestep it, work with it. And what we've found as we started getting into our research with Divine Guidance, using dreams, signs, and intuition as a form of snapshot to see what's coming. Pay attention. In other words, wake up, Mike, pay attention. That dream was important. It was showing you Nicole's going to come into your life. Quick story. We had a client, young guy, he was mid-20s. He called us. He said, hey, I want to spend a couple hours with you guys. I need to find some information. I said, why? Why do you want to talk with us? And he said, well, I had a dream, a really clear dream, and there was 6 numbers in the dream. So when I woke up, I remembered them, so I wrote the numbers down. And my buddy, we're at lunch, he goes, that could be the lottery numbers. You ought to play the lottery. And he said, Mike, I could give a rat's. He was already a multimillionaire in his mid-20s. He made his money already. He said, I don't care about that. So what happened that evening, they were the lottery numbers. They hit, they came in. And he said, what I want to know is how in God's name do I get a snapshot of the future of what's coming with the lottery the night before in a dream? So he was going down that road that I had gone down with seeing Nicole in the dream and wanting to know, how do I get a snapshot of my future? And that's what we work with people, how to pay attention, literally how to wake up and say, hey, there's signs. Did you see that sign on the bumper sticker? Did you see that sign on the window? Or maybe a gut feeling.
Yeah. How to activate and restore that internal signal that we all have. That's now the volume's turned way down. And there's, our one tool that we'll share with the audience here in a little bit that's going to start turning the volume up. Woo, effortlessly, CJ. These tools, they're innate and they're built in, so they're on autopilot and they're free. Like, what could be more perfect than that? This is how we're wired. And it's just, people don't use it and they overlook it and discount it. And it's here. This is how we were built. So it's really exciting, man. It's so exciting. Woo. Yeah.
I'm loving this conversation because you guys don't know how much you have like truly opened up in me. Could I just share this for a second? When I was in Detroit, and as we talked about when we were backstage, when I stayed in Detroit, at some point I was having dreams too, And this one particular dream that I had, and I had some prior before coming to Detroit, as you say, divine warning signs. You know what I'm saying? Warning comes before destruction. And so we get signs before things actually happen. Sometimes you ignore it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that ain't no big thing or whatever. So you miss this. Okay, so I had the dream or whatnot, and I refused it. Professor Mike, I refused. I'm like, I'm not doing that. Maybe it turned out, because remember, I was in Detroit, now I'm back in Northwest Indiana, and that's exactly what the dream was telling me. You know what I'm saying? I had to go back home. Like, I don't want going back there. I said, if you want me to go back there, you got to show me a sign. That next Saturday, Dr. Nic showed me the dream. I woke up. I'm like, what is this that you showed me, Lord? And he told me to go back. I was reading this book called God's Covenant at the time. He told me to go back and read the book that I had been reading. And when I went back, I was reading the Moses Covenant and it said, there he stood in a burning bush. And the whole dream was about everything being on fire. Everything being on fire. And so I still was reluctant. So I'm not doing that. I got fired on my job, Doc. I don't know if you ever seen the movie Friday, but he say, how can you say you got to be a son of a gun to get fired on your off day? I got fired on my vacation. I was on vacation. So just like Jonah that didn't want to go to Nineveh, God say, I'm going to get you back to where I want you to be, regardless of how you feel. And so my life has, you know what I'm saying, for that has changed because my wife was here in Indiana. And how could I be with my wife? Well, I'm in Detroit and she here in Indiana. And so that's just one phase of it. And so like I say, y'all can open up some stuff. I mean, I get to some more a little bit, but let me ask, what does it actually mean to trust your intuition in a practical sense?
You want to take it?
Go ahead. You run with it.
All right. I've got to comment on this dream, though, because there's another piece. You got fired. Everything was on fire in the dream.
Yeah.
The play on. Yes. It was a prophetic dream as well. Everything was on fire. You got fired. Yes. Oh my gosh. And that's how dreams are. They're like 3 levels, 3 layers. It's so exciting. But back to your question, the practical sense. And I think everyone's experienced it. Like, I had a gut feeling about that. I knew you were about to call. I was thinking about you yesterday and I hadn't talked to you in 5 years and here you are. We've all had these experiences at different levels. That's that practical intuition that we've all touched on. But, to take it to the next level, it's an actual system that you can actually track and employ in your life on the daily. So it's much more than this touching, this ephemeral thing that occurs now and then. It's this ongoing. Oh yeah, I've got so much. I'm just going to be quiet for a minute.
I understand what you're saying. It's just like, sometimes some people may not even believe your practical intuition because it's just, you thought about somebody. You might be riding to work. Matter of fact, I just did it yesterday or whatever. I had a friend and I had just thought about him. And then I get to work and he comes. I said, man, I just thought about you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get what you're saying. That's that practical because you can think about something and boom, all of a sudden it appears. You know what I'm saying? It'll happen. You can mention something and you be like, you go to church, you be like, and God and put something on your mind and put something in your heart and stir it up and you go to church and you listen to the pastor and the pastor repeats some of the same that you have, like, man, you can't even really tell nobody because nobody really believes you, but in your practical sense that was information for me. And a lot of times everybody don't need to know because that's just between, you know what I'm saying, you and the Father.
That really nails it.
Yeah.
That's a practical trust yourself. It's that feeling like when you walk into a room and you meet someone for the first time and maybe it doesn't feel just right. Like there's something off. You can feel it in your gut. Like, but that person looks good, walks good, talks good. They seem to be, the girl or the dude, like, whoa. But then because it doesn't feel right, 30, 60, 90 days down the way, you find out it wasn't right. This thing was off. And if I'd have trusted myself, obviously I don't trust them because it wasn't right. It was a feeling. Short story, way back when I was working on I was in a PhD program. We were doing a bunch of studies, and they set it up for me to go out and interview CEOs. It was like a half a dozen CEOs, ones who had made it. They made a bunch of money and they were always right. And one of the questions was, I said, when it's all on the table, I mean, the whole company and everything, the money's on the table, it's your final bet. How do you decide? How do you make that decision? Because you've been right so many times, we want to know. And every single one of them said, Mike, truth be told, man, I have people teams working on the data. But if it doesn't feel right, I don't go with it. It's a gut feeling that comes in. It's either feels right or it doesn't. And they all said that. And one of them even said, if you tell my board that I go on my intuition, I will deny it. I'll say you're a liar. That's it. They go with the gut, man. Yep.
Oh, man. So sometimes you just got to turn your collar down. What they say, your gut instinct and your first feelings. That happened to me not too long ago, not in the business sense, but in a personal sense. Mm-hmm. I had plans with my wife and my son to go out to dinner, but I went to a funeral earlier that morning. So I told my wife, I got family in town and I want out for a little bit, with them. I ain't seen them or whatever. So we kind of canceled them plans. And then I got to the repast and the family members that I was planning on hanging out with wound up hanging out. I caught myself by myself in a place with a room full of people. And I told my wife when I texted her, I said, I said, I'm on my way back. I said, when I got plans to be with my family and do stuff with my family, I'm not deviating from the plan. I'm going to stick to what I do. You know what I'm saying? Because you want to be with people, but I'm finding out a lot of times in that spiritual guidance, when you're in a different place, a lot of people don't want to be with you for whatever reason. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, Professor Mike, a lot of times it's some things that's within you, and that's your personal thing. I just had to put that out on the table while listening to Mr. Mike. So,
yeah, different states of consciousness, and even though family, blood, and this type of thing, you're still at a different state of consciousness. You're over here, they're over here. And those two states, if you could put them on a scale, like quantum signature, everything has a quantum signature. And let's say your signature is 0.24569788924. And there's literally vibrationally, it's your atoms and your subatomic particles and the rate in which they vibrate, which is your quantum signature, which is your state of consciousness, which really doesn't jive with many people because we're unique individuals. So, they're vibing at, 0.10102468 type of thing. And so it just doesn't jive. And so outwardly it's like, well, I'm into this. I like pizza. You like spaghetti. I mean, so it manifests outwardly in our likes and our dislikes. Core and underneath everything, it's a state of consciousness. And when we harmonize, that's your people. And when we don't, it's not, regardless of family, blood, this type of thing. That's why all relationships, most of them don't last, because we choose based on outer things instead of states of consciousness. So when you choose from an SOC, and people don't even know they have an SOC, a state of consciousness. And that's why everything is, we tolerate people. We've got the man cave and the girls' night out so we can get through our relationship with some semblance of sanity here. But really, it's about that state of consciousness. And if we start choosing people based on that as opposed to the other, then you're going to have the magic all the time. And, you had a really good point about being quiet, about when you were in church and you had these thoughts, and then they were affirmed later by the minister, with the passage that he was sharing. And there's an actual spiritual law of silence. And that's exactly what it is, CJ. You nailed it. It's about when you have those moments with Holy Spirit, with God. If there's an atheist listening, that's fine too, because it's your higher self, okay? It's the universe. We don't need to get bogged down by the words or the titles that we use. We're all guided by our best version of ourself type of thing. And those private innermost things should be quiet so they can build upon themselves. When you start talking too soon, we deplete the energy. So it's important to stay quiet. You're absolutely right.
That's true. You don't have to tell everybody everything. We'll get to that with it real quick, because I want to get back Because I'm like you guys. I want to get back because you said something earlier about dreams, about things 5,000 years ago, and not a lot of things that we have gotten away from. You know what I'm saying? As terms as to how things was done in a modern day and things of that nature. So I'm going to put a bookmark right there. But let me ask you this real quick. How does your trust yourself system help people develop stronger decision?
It's stepping into our most powerful self. When we trust ourselves, we're trusting the system within us. We already have the answers. And there's an old saying, you really can't ask a question without the answer being in it. And that's the truth. It's pure science. When we listen inwardly to that internal guidance, we're beginning to trust ourselves. And when we accept it, we make the decision. We're not looking outward to the role models and the people out here and all the experts, because when we do, how many times have we been blindsided? It happens a lot, whether it's finance, career, relationship, it doesn't matter. And we're really listening to that internal guidance system. What's happened? The reason that people say, Mike, because I'll talk about it and I'll go, Mike, I don't even remember my dreams. Mike, I don't even know what intuition is. Is it a thought? No, it isn't. It's a feeling. It's very different. Right brain thought, left brain intuition, or vice versa. Is it? Yeah. Left brain thought, right brain intuition. When we put them together, we get that whole. And we got a way to punch at that point. We got a way to step into our true power. And we got a technique for you coming up where, because people say, I don't even know that, where you turn it on. We call it one magic word, but you actually use it as a vibrational technique for turning on the system within ourselves so we can.
Yeah, restore that signal. Get it back online, CJ. That's it. Get it back online. Yeah.
We're offline. That's all. We're not paying attention. It's a wake-up call, and that's why we have a word that turns it on. It's really simple. Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by CJ Moneyway Media, where podcast ideas become platforms. Through the Moneyway Lab Masterclass, CJ shares real lessons from the lab for creators building their voices brick by brick. From powerful guest conversations, storytelling that inspires growth. CJ Moneyway Media is about one thing, building legacy through stories. Learn more at cjmoneyway.com.
Music style.
I like it, because I'm feeling the whole thing because you say turn it on in your trust system. You say you got to refill it. I was just talking to a friend of mine yesterday, and a couple weeks ago, did an interview on somebody else's podcast, and I said something, and man, that whole week, just getting gut punched the whole time. I'm like, why did I, say I don't even know why I said that at the time, the question that they asked me. But I was sitting in my man cave, and it hit me. It said the things that I was doing, seeking, searching, being hungry, for the word and knowledge and things of that nature when I was down, when I didn't have, when I wasn't CJ Moneyway, when I wasn't doing a podcast, I was hungry for some things. But then you start doing some things, you start building some stuff, and you see a little success, you turn away from what got you to where you was going. And it hit me, It hit me and it convicted me. So I started back reading, and went to church on Sunday. The spirit was just running high. And I needed that, like what you just said. I needed that because, boy, I wish I could get into some things that had transpired this week. Boy, I just say that going to church with intuition, hearing the voice, as you was talking about earlier, and then adapting, knowing what you hear, or recognizing what you hear, because that's prosthetic. And we know that in the prosthetic, things don't happen right away. It may happen 10, 20 years down the line. But I'm going to do what Professor Mike said, because I hadn't thought about that, because I've had a few dreams myself realistically, and some of them have come to pass. Right? I'm going to get me a dream journal. Write dreams down, man. That's on my next to-do list, Doc. And so let me ask you guys this. Let's talk about one magic word vibrational sound therapy.
Oh,
What is it and how does it work?
Oh, it's our favorite thing. If no one walks away with anything, walk away with this. One magic word. Here's the word. Hue. H-U, hue. That's the word. There's the historical piece, scientific piece, and then the technique itself. Let's do this. Let's do an experiment. I'm going to hue, okay? I'm going to do like maybe 3 hues. Let's see if we feel anything. Let's see if the audience, you feel anything, all right? Okay, here we go. Hue. Hue. Now we'll give it a minute. Okay. Did you feel anything?
I did. And I'm going to tell you the first thing that I felt especially when you guys synchronized it, was I just felt the calm coming over me, a calmness. Yeah.
Amen. Yes, this is the deal. Hue. Okay, a little bit of history. They used to hue at the Sphinx from dusk until dawn 5,000 years ago in Egypt to raise the consciousness of society. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
The word hue comes from the word human. In the Oxford English Dictionary, it means God-man, human, God-man, God within man. That spark at a vibrational level. That's why you felt that calm. Like, we could just say, like, what does God look like, feel like? What would the vibe be? It would be peace, harmony, serenity, probably. Good stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Yes, and that's what the hue does internally and externally for your inner peace, and it restores that internal signal. See, back, like we were saying, the word hue, human, humanity, that's the original vibration. This is why they used to hue so long ago. And in our research, we've got our book, Just Say Hue. In our research, we found the word hue in 14 different religions, CJ, and their sacred book. The Masons, that's their secret word, found it in the Bible and the Quran and the Kabbalah. Egypt, and like I said, a total of 14 religions. Eckankar, modern day, it's all over the place when you do your research. So, okay, that's great. And then the science piece, which is where we're at. Vibrationally, your state of consciousness, the vibrational rate at which our atoms are vibrating. Just like you tune up a car in the olden days. You give it a tune up so it runs smooth. The hue would be like our tune up. Actually. And the cool thing, you can do it out loud or silent, eyes open or closed. You talk about user-friendly, CJ. You could do this thing while you're sitting in a business meeting or in the shower. No one even knows because it's that user-friendly. And you felt it that quick. We hued 3 times. And that's why we call it one magic word. So.
And it worked. It
always works.
I've never, ever known it. And all the time, in the 30 years we're working with the hue, and we've taken it everywhere and shared it. Not once has it ever not worked. It always worked. It's interesting. I went to high school in Delaware, and it was taught by the Jesuits. It was private high school taught by the Jesuits. And there was a passage in the Bible, John 1:1, in the beginning was the Word was with God, the Word was God. And I used to ask the Jesuits, they all had their PhDs and did their research. They were smart dudes. And I said, what was that word, Father? Come on now. What was the word? Surely you know. Not one of them ever knew. They said, Mike, we're not sure what that word is. It started me on search for the word that created everything, the known universe. And eventually I found that word, that sound, was hue. When it went out, it literally created everything. That's why it's so powerful. And it's not like any other word, other chants and yoga.
And yeah.
I've tried them all. Trust me. I've studied with the Buddhists and Sikhs and did yoga, taught 5 years. It's like, whoa. No, the hue is here. I came back from Vietnam, did 2 years in Nam, and come back 1970 approximately, 69, 70. I had severe PTSD because I was in the infantry. So out in the field a lot, in firefights and stuff. I come back, I have tremendous anxiety. and nightmares and depression. And I was suicidal quite often. This has gone on. They didn't know how to treat it at the time. They didn't have anything. Eventually, I stumbled across the hue, and it said the hue will really get rid of anxiety and depression. And I thought, I was a skeptic. I thought, yeah, right. But I got nothing to lose. So I started hewing 20 minutes a day, like 20, 30 minutes, I'd hew. Within a very, very, very short period of time, the anxiety, the depression, the suicidal ideation, the nightmares, they all went away. It literally eradicated it. And that's when I knew, when you know something because you've been there, you did it. I knew, found a magic word. I said, I'll be damned. After all that time, there's the hue. That's when I started sharing it with people. And Nic and I put together our mission, divine guidance to share the hue. Yeah.
I like that, man. Because the second one that she did, because it took me a minute, and then it was the second one that I think when you joined in with her, and I just felt like, man, you felt in your soul like that was just a calmness. But I was trying to keep up with what you guys were saying. But as you say, if you put that to practice, every day or 20 minutes a day, ain't no telling what's going to come out of that. Because when you said that, Professor, the first thing I thought about was when David would play his instrument for Saul, and then all these spirits that for him and the thing that was on him, it'll relax him and get, and they'll leave from him or whatnot.
Yeah.
That's the tool of the violin. So I like it. I'm loving this. I'm loving the conversation. Yeah. Let me ask you guys, after 30 years of research, what patterns have you noticed about people who make consistently strong life decisions?
Ooh, what patterns? Strong life decisions. People that listen to that voice, and they don't talk about it because it's embarrassing. Most people think it's embarrassing to say, well, I had this voice and I followed it. But when you get down to it, if you can actually have a conversation with people, which is, part of what we do, then you find out it was always that gut, that voice, and they followed that. And it's real subtle. As Michael mentioned, it comes in first, and it's quick because the mind comes in right after. Whew, and that's what we tend to follow, because this thing was so subtle. But when you use that hue, it turns up that volume. And so then you can hear it. But that's really the difference. Dreams and things, that's next level guidance. That's why we started the Mystery School, Divine Guidance Institute, to teach this as a system. But, the gut, most people are familiar with that and that voice. And so when you track it down, the data, it was that they used that. They followed that. So, yeah.
I've enjoyed this conversation. I only got one more question for you guys. But before I go there, tell us a little bit about the Divine Guidance Institution and tell us a little bit about your book. And where can we find you guys? Where can we find you? Follow you on social media. All over the place, man. I want to know because I'm finna start being a follower. The Divine Institution.
Yes. Okay, here's the deal. It's a nonprofit and it's a mission. Okay. We're so tired of watching everyone get their ass kicked and everyone getting blindsided when they have these tools and they're on autopilot, dream signs, intuition, internal, autopilot, free, perfect guidance, not like, I saw the counselor and they said this and he said this, and perfect guidance for each person individually. That's why we started the mission, the nonprofit Divine Guidance Institute. It's really a silent epidemic. The blindsided crisis is what we call it. And I've got so many stats. I'm not going to get into the stats, but it's mind-blowing, these stats and the crisis, So that's why we started the Institute. And we don't have a building yet. We just launched in October. So exciting. So it's virtual. And then when we're given the divine guidance, CJ, of where we're supposed to have a physical building, then that piece will come. But it hasn't been shown yet. So anyway, the Mystery School classes, it's a 1-year program. It's a full-blown, it's like the Harvard of mystery schools, literally. This thing is on fire. People are having breakthroughs on day 3. I'm not kidding. And the first course that we do is one magic word. And that gets the ball rolling. But it's so on fire that we started it separately. Like Even if people don't want the school and they don't want the full-blown divine guidance, this thing just sets everyone, it just on fire. So we started that separately as an offering as well. And of course we do what, the private transmission, the knowing code, and then the school, and then courses and things.
Where can they go to get us?
Nicole, stop it. Quit talking. 30 years, we can talk like that. Okay.
I get it.
2 places, divineguidanceinstitute.org, certainly. And then if they want to get rocking and rolling with One Step, there's 2 places they can go. They want the easy breezy One Step therapy version and get the book and everything else. They can go to onesteptherapy.com. ONE, onesteptherapy.com. And if they're ready for the immersion with one magic word, it's a 40-day experience. Then they can go to onemagicword.com. So we got the mini, we got the bigger, and then we got the full-blown Scooby-Doo. So there you go.
Oh, hey. So she said that go to Scooby-Doo. And so I love it. You guys have to promise me one thing. I still got a son there in Detroit. And so I periodically there. He grown now, so how grown kids are. But when you guys get your divine building, when you get to the point where your vision comes to pass, you have to invite your boy CJ Moneyway to the spot, and we're going to have to podcast right there in you guys' new build.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Deal.
Yep.
You got it.
Yeah.
Sounds fabulous.
All right.
Alrighty.
Detroit ain't nothing but 4 hours away. The way that I drive at times, I used to get back and forth in 3 hours, but we're not going to take that. Hey, so,
Smoking.
yeah. Hey, Professor, when I pass somebody, I don't want to see them. You know what I'm saying? That's how I play the game on the road. I don't want to see you no more. Unless I stop at a rest stop.
I love
I
it.
always, when I pass them, I roll the window down, bust the cap outside. Then they go, oh my God, here we go.
Before I get to my last question, I got to ask you this, Professor Mike. 24 years old, you were twice her age, so I don't, say I'm not going to get into how old you were. She is very hyper, now, like real spontaneous, like she got a lot of energy, Doc, how did you deal with all that energy, man, at 24 years old? I know at 24, she still is energetic 30 years later, man. I can just imagine how much energy she had back then, man. So I just got to ask you, how did you match that energy, Doc? Okay, let me take one guess.